What's up, guys? It's Monty from the Multiverse, and I just got out of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the newest film from the MCU, and I'm just going to be very upfront and honest. I absolutely loved this film. It had the comic book geek in me freaking out. It is so Sam Raimi that it's not even funny. It's something different, but at the same time, we have so many familiar characters that we love from the MCU that it feels like coming home again, even though we've never left. It was such a great experience, and it was just a fun time at the theaters, which is something that I'm really happy to have again. Now, let's be clear about one thing. It is not a perfect film. There are a few issues here and there I have with it, but I can't really be mad at them, because obviously the main issue that people seem to have, and I agree, is the pacing problem. But, you know, there's a part in the third act of the film that kind of slows the movie down, but it leads to probably one of my favorite movies in the entire film, and it's just so easy for me to forgive that little slight pacing problem when it leads to a scene so spectacularly done as what it does eventually lead to. So there is small problems like that, but the things that I love about this movie far outweigh the things that I don't. Sam Raimi stepping in for Scott Derrickson in the director role has really made this movie his own. There's so many homages to his previous films, and this is really the MCU's first foray into horror. It's a generally scary movie. There's a lot of actual terrifying scares in here. A couple of times I jumped out of my seat and was startled by things. A lot of creepy imagery, a lot of visceral, dark moments in the movie. So I'm really happy to see that Sam Raimi got to inject a lot of himself into the film. The cast is incredible. There's not much else I can say about this cast. Benedict Cumberbatch is just so perfect as Stephen Strange. He has really made this role his own in the best way possible. And we see multiple versions of him in this film. I don't think that's a spoiler. This is a multiverse movie, and each one is done so well. Elizabeth Olsen, she may very well steal this movie in her portrayal of Wanda Maximoff. This movie basically picks up right where WandaVision left off. And for some people that don't understand Wanda in this movie, I think you should go back and you should really watch WandaVision to truly understand the arc that Wanda goes through before you go see this movie. Benedict Wong is great, as always, injects a lot of humor into the film, but it's nice to see him around more than he was in the first film. Xochitl Gomez as America Chavez is great. I was a little worried before going into this film that she was just going to be the MacGuffin of the movie, but she has a really nice arc, and there's some pretty faithful comic book adaptation going on when it comes to her character that I really love to see. You have Rachel McAdams returning as Christine Palmer, and let's just say there may be a few special appearances here and there that I will not say anything about. But yes, the cast is absolutely fantastic. The story, I will tell people probably to temper their expectations a little bit. Even though this film involves the multiverse very heavily, it's not a cameo fest. And I know a lot of people are going into this expecting to see all of their favorite characters from Marvel movies portrayed by actors who played them in the past. And I will say to temper your expectations when it comes to things like that. This is, first and foremost, a Doctor Strange movie. It is a Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch movie, to be perfectly honest with you. These two characters go on a wonderful arc that mirror each other, and I really love what they do with the characters in this film. I really like the direction they choose to bring Steven in throughout the course of this film. I related to it a lot. The question of the film is, are you happy? And that's a question that so many people can relate to, because I feel like a lot of people in the world ask themselves that question. So I really love the direction of this film. I like the choices that these characters make. So overall, I think the story works out extremely well. For having the backdrop of a multiversal tale, this is a very personal story, and I love that. Oh man, there's so many things that I want to talk about that I can't talk about until we do a full spoiler review. But let's just say that there's so many nods to the comic books, not just Marvel comics in general, but Doctor Strange comics. There's so many things to shout out from the Doctor Strange comic books. I absolutely loved it, going in there and seeing all these things as a comic book fan. I think what this film does better than the first movie is the creative use of magic. Magic in this film is used a lot more uniquely and creatively than it was in the first film, where it was a lot of, like weaponry and hand-to-hand combat and shields and discs. This one, there is a lot of creative use of the magic, and for me, it creates these sequences that are so fun and so enjoyable to just sit down in the theater and be a part of. Danny Elfman does the score here, and the music absolutely slaps. It is so good. The guitar stings here and there with the zoom-ins that are so Sam Raimi, I loved it. And just the constant switching of the music throughout the film was perfect. I love the choices Danny Elfman made. The jarring nature of the music really fit in with the multiverse hopping nature of the film. It was very wonderful. How does this film stack up in terms of the rest of the MCU? That's a very difficult question to answer after one watch. I will probably give this another watch or two before I even come close to ranking it, but just my fresh out of the theater reaction, it's probably going to skew towards the higher end. I really had fun in this movie. I understand why some people are not going to like it, but for me, as a comic book fan that I am, I just love that Phase 4 of the MCU is basically just F it. We're going to be as comic accurate as possible. And that is a spirit I can get behind. So many of the suits in Phase 4 are stripped directly from the comics. Strange is no different. The suit that Strange wears in this movie is almost identical to his classic suit from the comic books. And there's a lot of classic elements that creep their way into this movie. And I'm so excited to share more of that when we're able to talk in depth in the spoiler review. But basically, that's my initial thoughts of the film. It's a fun time at the movies. If you're a comic book fan, I don't see any reason for you not to go out and watch this movie. I will say that some of the imagery may be dark for small children, so if you do have small children, probably leave them at home for this one. Or if you are a parent, maybe check out the film first, see for yourself, and then take the small children afterwards if you think it's okay for them. But I think this is skewing more towards the adult side of the Marvel Universe, because essentially it is a horror movie for the most part. But that'll do it for this review, guys. I'll be back later in the week, probably Saturday, Sunday, for a full spoiler review after more people have had time to see the movie. So if you like the video, give me a huge thumbs up. Give me your thoughts on the film below. No spoilers, please, in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up to date on all of our latest content. And until next time, guys, stay versed.